Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Chapter 2 quiz review. We're going to get started on the first section. We are finding the next term in each sequence. So the first thing I noticed in number 1 is that these numbers are increasing: 3, 5, 9, 15, 23. And so we're going to see, is there a number that they are adding each time, or is there a number that they are multiplying by each time? So let's just check. From 3 to 5, I increase 2. From 5 to 9, I increase 4. From 9 to 15, I increase 6. And then from 15 to 18, I increase 8. Are you noticing a pattern? Because I am. From 23, we're going to increase 10. So we're increasing by the even numbers, increasing each time. And so what is 23 plus 10? That is going to give me 33 for my next sequence based on the reasoning that I just used. All right, let's look at the next one. We start with the number 2, and then we go to 2.1. And then we go to 2.01. And then we go to 2.001. It seems as if they are putting, after the decimal, they're putting an additional 0 each time. And so we would put 3 zeros because we went from 1 here to 2 here to 3 here. So 2.0001. And so we are going to make that our next term in the sequence. Once y'all get to Algebra 1, you'll learn about arithmetic sequences and geometric sequences, but right now we're just working on inductive reasoning. All right, so now I have a geometric sequence on this next one, and it seems as if they started with 1 dot, then they went to 3, and then they went to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But you can see that they're adding a row each time. So we have the same one as before, so 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to do another row, but we're on the fourth one, we're going to have a row of 4, 3, 4. So that would be our fourth, that would be our fourth term in the sequence. All right, this next one is tricky. So if you've already started this one and you are just stuck, this next one is tricky because when we first go to look at it, and we notice that they're increasing. 2 plus 1 is 3, plus 2 is going to be 5, plus 3 is going to be 8. So you might think you have it figured out. But when you go to do plus 4, that is not the case. 8 plus 4 would give me 12. So 8 plus 5 gives me 13, and then 13 to 21 is plus 8. And so then I check to see, well, is there anything that they are multiplying by? Like, iPad's been doing something weird, guys. There we go. So is there anything that they are multiplying by? And there is not. And so what we're going to have to do is look for a different way to find the next term in the sequence. So you could play around with a few different things, but the first thing I notice is that 2 times 3 would not be 6, but 2 plus 3 is going to be equal to 5. And then I would do 3 plus 5, which is equal to 8. 5 plus 8 is equal to 13. 8 plus 13 is equal to 21. So it seems as if they are taking the previous sequence, the previous terms, the previous 2 terms, and adding them together. So what happens if I do 13 plus 21? Well, 13 plus 21 is going to be equal to 34. So what they're doing here is they're adding the previous to the current. So we would go 2 plus 3, 3 plus 5, 5 plus 8, 8 plus 13, 21 plus 34, and that would give me my next term. Okay? All right, the above patterns are examples of what kind of reasoning? Inductive or deductive? Well, because we were looking at patterns and predicting the next term, we know that that is going to be inductive reasoning because we were looking at patterns. Inductive is I see, I think, I predict based on a pattern. Then it asks you an example on number 6. An example of inductive/deductive reasoning is when a conclusion is drawn from a definition. When it's drawn from a definition and not a pattern, that is going to be deductive. So inductive is from patterns, deductive is from definitions and facts. All right, and then we get into our next section, which just asks us to circle the hypothesis. I'm going to do that in blue and underline the conclusion. I'm going to do that in yellow, and I'm going to highlight it. You'll know I like to highlight. I'm more of a visual learner. All right, so what I like to do when I do this is I look for the word if to find the hypothesis. It falls after the word if. Then there's the word then. So I'm going to do that in all of these. This number 9 says they will cry when the sad song comes on. So it doesn't have the word if and it doesn't have the word then, so we'll come back to that one. The word if falls towards the middle of the sentence on number 8, and then number 10 starts with the word if, and then it has the word then in it as well. All right, so the hypothesis, we're going to zoom in on this number 7 to find the hypothesis. What is our hypothesis? It's the stuff after the word if. You go to the pep rally is our hypothesis. You go to the pep rally is our hypothesis. What is our conclusion? Our conclusion is going to be you will miss part of 8th period. That is if we have an afternoon pep rally, just so y'all know. So you will miss part of 8th period. All right, number 9 is a little bit tricky because it doesn't have the word if and it doesn't have the word then. But it says they will cry when the sad song comes on. So what you're looking for is a domino effect. What happens to make something else happen? And so what happens to make the other thing happen, the domino effect, is going to be that the sad song comes on. So when it says the word when, I could replace that word with the word if. So the sad song has to come on, and then that is going to trigger a response. Well, what is the response? They're going to cry. They are going to cry. They will cry. All right. Now, number 8, they switch the hypothesis and the conclusion. They don't go an if-then statement. They actually switch it to a then-if statement, but grammatically, we're not ever going to start a sentence with the word then. And so our hypothesis is going to be you break into the store, which triggers a response. What response does that trigger? Well, when you break into a store, what happens? The alarm will go off. So the alarm sounds. The alarm is not going to go off unless that happens. All right, and then number 10 is written in a classic if-then form as well as number 8, like the number 8 was, or sorry, number 7 was. Their parents say no, then they cannot spend the night. We can't spend the night. So there's my hypothesis, there's my conclusion. If you wanted to label these with P's and Q's, you could. Here's my P, here's my Q. Here we go. Here's my hypothesis, here's my conclusion. Here's my hypothesis, here's my conclusion in yellow. So blue is my hypothesis, yellow is my conclusion. All right, now I will do a new video for the next section.